Welcome to Clarion Connection. My guests today are Beth MacDaniel, the president of the Clarion APSCUF Faculty Union, and Chris Hearst, the chair of the Academic Enrichment Program at Clarion University. Academic Enrichment is one of the programs that are scheduled to be eliminated under the Workforce Development Plan that was launched just about a week and a half ago, I believe. And last week we had Ron Nowalczyk, the provost of Clarion University, talking about the workforce plan, and I thought it'd be interesting and fair to have the faculty union talk about it and talk about some of the academic cuts and where they see things going. I would like to mention that in addition to faculty, there also is a significant amount of cuts planned for the staff, which is APSCUF and management, and SCUPA, which is an administrative unit. So there's putting a face on those cuts is somewhat more difficult because of APSCUF rules that certain positions, if they're eliminated, have bumping rights. And so it's a little bit even more complicated than this. And this is pretty complicated, Steve. So
that's why I'm glad you bring in the people to let us know how to sort this out a little bit.
So Beth, do you want to talk a little bit about the reaction to the workforce plan? I understand there was a forum on campus last night and a forum in Venango on Friday, I believe, and a couple more scheduled today even.
That's right. Well, the response across the board has been, shall we say, extremely negative. A great deal of concern about what the impact will be, in particular with the cuts to the faculty. We're talking 22 faculty who they're planning to retrench, which is fire, basically, or furlough, and they would be teaching this academic year, but at the end of the academic year in spring, they would be gone. Impassioned students talking last night. That was one thing that really struck me. That the students care so deeply for this university, as do the faculty, as do the staff, and we are fearful of what these massive cuts will do to the quality of the education, and that's why we're here. But a huge response. I'm not good at estimating numbers, but there were 200-300.
I would say a couple hundred at least. Standing room only.
Right. And this was in Hart Chapel, relatively large forum for this. There were community members there, parents of students, current students at Clarion, faculty members, alumni, retired faculty, all of us expressing in various ways what our concerns and questions are.
Right. The workforce plan largely dealt with blocks of faculty being retrenched. One was the music department, the music education department, where I think 6 of 7 faculty members were identified for retrenchment. Right. And basically the elimination of the music education program, which was technically a moratorium, but once that many people leave, it'd be rather difficult to rebuild the program. Right. And Chris's Academic Enrichment Department, I believe, are there 5?
Well, there's actually 6 tenured faculty members, or tenured track faculty members within my department, 5 of which are scheduled to be. And there are also positions in. And I probably will ask me. And then other faculty positions in the theater department, psychology, English. Well, yes, that would. And it affects both Clarion and Venango campus. Now, it seems to be the thrust of all this, the reason for this that the administration is stating is that it's facing a $12 million structural deficit, and I imagine they're looking for large chunks to deal with it. But
And actually, Ron, if I could,
Sure.
if I could interrupt just a little bit to talk about the $12 million deficit that the President and Provost talk about. That's not the deficit right now. The deficit that they have in the workforce plan is $6,555,000 thereabouts. So close to $6.6 million deficit this coming year. And the $12 million deficit that's projected out. So it's not the deficit right now. It's
right.
what they're projecting the deficit would be. And I believe that what they're doing in APSCUF is asked what their assumptions they're using. For that huge of a figure, I assume, but I haven't had that confirmed yet, but I assume that deficit, that projected deficit, would be if absolutely nobody retires at the university. Staff, management, faculty, and we generally have between, say, 6 and 10 or 11 faculty retire each year. It varies from year to year. And so APSCUF believes that is not really a true. They shouldn't use that number to talk about the projected deficit, because that assumes everything stays the same and everybody remains there. And there are, I'm sure there will be faculty who are going to be retiring.
Right, but if the faculty retire not in those programs that are identified,
it helps the deficit, but it doesn't.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't reduce the numbers in the programs that the administration has identified as needing fewer faculty because of reduced enrollment.
Well, another big part of, in addition to the funding and probably adding to the structural deficit, is the dramatic drop in enrollment the last and I guess with this year 3 years. 3 years. And even this year, they were projecting another 9% drop. So that drastically affects the budget. What impact do you think some of these proposed cuts would have on enrollment? Chris, now I know part of the thing is that they want to increase retention, and I know I've heard that for many years.
It's part of the workforce plan.
Right, is to increase retention.
And get $2 million out of that.
But part of the plan also is to eliminate the Academic Enrichment Program, which many people felt is basically designed to help with retention in helping students that need help staying in school.
Well, I think there's a misconception of what academic enrichment really is. And academic enrichment is really, our mission is to support our students, whether they are high risk or not. And a lot of what we do, we're serving every student on the campus. We are providing them with tutoring, and I think the misconception is everyone that comes to tutoring is failing. Do you know that a lot of our students that come to tutoring are actually the A and B students, and that's how come they are A and B students, is they come and get that extra help. They're not necessarily the lower end student within that area. So, and we also, within our area, if I can just talk a little bit about, what encompasses academic enrichment, we have disability services. We do all the accommodations for those students that are, signed into that program itself, and there's well over 300 students that are within that office. We provide them with all their testing accommodations, all their other accommodations within the classroom. We're doing tutoring, as well as a part of that tutoring is I just wrote a high impact practice grant, which just got funded last year by the provost. And we're doing SI, which is supplemental instruction, where we're sending tutors into the classroom, and they're actually in the classroom with the student and then run outside the classroom study kind of groups and review sessions. We just incorporated that this past year. we also have grant programs within my department that, they haven't really talked about with this whole retrenchment.
No, they haven't.
And we haven't really gotten any answers about them. They're not tenure lines. They are grant funded, but we have the Upper Bound program, which is a community service program for high school students. We have the Talent Search program that actually does the outreach also to middle school, high school adults. We have the Student Support Service grant, TRIO grant, that actually works with first-generation low-income students and provides academic advising. We have the Advising Center on campus, which we have all the online students, which is well over at least 150 students that have to be advised, as well as probably close to 300 or so undecided local studies.
Now,
And we also teach courses.
okay. Well, last week the provost specifically mentioned those courses. I think he said there were 4 or something, and he stated that when it's optional, a lot of people don't take those courses, and that. He basically said that he didn't think those courses were helping with retention. What's your take on that?
I really disagree with that. And first of all, I know that he said regular faculty were teaching our courses, and it's the academic enrichment faculty that are teaching the courses. We have years of experience. We're the experts in this area. And yes, we actually gave the provost a proposal when we did meet with him as a department saying this should be mandatory. I have students that I have in writing saying everyone should be taking these courses. This is not just something that Clarion decided to do. Support services, every university has support services. And every parent that's looking at colleges and universities right now, if you don't have support services in place, they're not looking at you to go to that school. They want to know that their son or daughter is going to be given help if they run into it. And so our classes are designed really to give students, the underprepared student, those basic skills to help them survive in college. Right now, I'm teaching a course, college reading and study skills course. Every student in there is on academic probation. And I pride myself for the fact that, you know what, they'll be successful because that's my goal, and they get it. And so they come to class, they do the work, they learn the material, they incorporate what they're learning in my class into their other studies. And so that's really what we're trying to do with our students and giving them that good base.
Now, the provost mentioned something about if the Academic Enrichment Department was eliminated, that they would be trying to embed some of the stuff that you just mentioned into the regular classes. So I think requiring, and you probably bristle at this, regular faculty, in the traditional classrooms, to start including academic enrichment material in their courses.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it violates academic freedom, and faculty decide, based upon the course description and the goals, the outcomes for the course, what's included in it. The administration can't say to us, you must teach this. And I think a lot of us, we all care about the success of our students, and so we do have things that we...
I think everyone does.
But he first of all, he can't mandate that. And secondly, we're not experts in retention. We're not experts in dealing with students who have disabilities or students who need that additional support. Chris's department, those faculty in academic enrichment are the experts. They spent years in taking classes in professional development, all sorts of things as they went through, and then continue on in professional development to hone their skills, and as the student population changes, learn how to reach the students with what they need. Regular faculty
at this point in time, and you have to keep up with the changes. And I really do believe my department has done that.
I think so
we go
too.
to professional development. We've changed up things that need to be changed up. our students, we know what the needs of our students are.
Let's talk a little bit about the enrollment problems that were cited, and specifically, if you look at it from a strictly budget standpoint, the lower enrollments in music ed and German and French. The provost said that of the current freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, there were 34 students enrolled in those courses right now, and there are seniors, and I think it brings it up to about 50 that supposedly could still graduate this year, and the university is going to commit to seeing that the other people graduate. But what does APSCUF take on the low enrollment in these programs?
Well, first of all, I think it's a relatively narrow view to take to look strictly at the number of majors. If you look at the number of students who participate in music activities, marching band, the other orchestras and bands, the musical groups, the vocal groups, that's a large, very large number of students that are impacted directly or would be impacted directly with this cut. In addition, it has a very negative impact on the theater program because one of the majors in theater is musical theater. If you don't have a music department, essentially, you aren't going to be able to continue with musical theater. So what it seems to me is it's like casting a stone into a body of water, a pond or a lake or something, that you'll immediately see ripple, building upon ripple, building upon ripple. And that's what I liken this to. That's the metaphor I like to use because you do. I mean, you cut academic enrichment, you're going to see negative consequences. You cut music education and whittle the 7 excellent faculty down there to just 1. It's going to have an impact on quality. It's going to have an impact on student enrollment. I believe that extends far beyond the music education majors. You eliminate French and German, you're left with Spanish as a major. And Vince Spina last night, a retired faculty member in Spanish, spoke, I thought, very eloquently, didn't he, Chris?
Definitely.
About the value of learning an additional language. And also he pointed out that modern language or a Spanish major is routinely required to take a second major, maybe a minor in a second major, or concentration in a second major. So by cutting out 1 or 2 and leaving 1 behind, you basically are going to destroy modern languages. And he also made a very good point that there are high schools that will be teaching more foreign languages, have more foreign language courses and selection of languages than we do at Clarion University. And how can that be? It's a travesty.
Let's talk about those ripples. Oh, by the way, there was a mention that the provost would like to see summer theater started again, but usually summer theater has a lot of musical.
I know.
But the ripples continue, and we mentioned earlier in the program about the losses in AFSCME and management and administration and those ripples. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about the probably unintended consequences of some of these faculty cuts in terms of the bargaining agreement that states if you retrench a department, you can't hire any part-time help.
That's right. In any department or program where there's retrenchment, the APSCUF collective bargaining agreement states that you cannot hire any temporary faculty members in that department for 3 years. So essentially, we have, for example, nursing program. The provost and some others want to start a 4-year nursing program housed or centered on Clarion campus. But there's one faculty member in nursing who would be retrenched if the plan goes forward as it is. I talked to the head of the nursing program at Venango when I was there for the open forum last Friday, and she said to me after the open forum, she said, we can't run the nursing program without temporary faculty. And I said, if there's retrenchment in nursing, you can't hire temporary faculty members. And she said, without temporary faculty in the program will die. And so I've pointed that out to a number of people in the administration. And it's this, that according to the CBA, no faculty can be retrenched in a department when there are temporary faculty. So the temporary faculty will have to go. They'll have to remain gone. And if they need, they decide, lo and behold, gosh, we need more people in nursing, then that retrenched faculty member would have first recall rights. So why retrench somebody? Have them go through that difficult period and start to adjust to the idea, perhaps look for another job elsewhere, when in a year perhaps they'll have to recall that person, and in order for the 4-year nursing program and the existing nursing programs to continue. It boggles my mind that the administration, the president and the provost, apparently did not even think about those ripples, let alone the impact to the communities with that loss of that many jobs.
Right. Well, and here's a kind of a hard question. Some people are stating, well, the Owens lost, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds of people. Right. What makes the faculty feel so special, complaining about the number of cuts that are planned?
Gosh, that is a tough question. We're members of the community, too. And as members of the community, we have houses here. Our kids go to school here. We pay taxes here. We shop here. We go to the stores on Main Street in downtown Clarion. We shop at other stores in the county. And when you take away those 22 families, not to even add to that, the essentially 14 APSCUF people, because 2 of them are part-time that would be lost, and the 2 SCUPA people, 4 management people. I mean, that's a huge blow when you think about that economic spending, what it will do to our community. Clarion University is the largest employer in the county now. We're part of this community, and we contribute in many, many ways, and that will be gone.
Now, part of the Owens decision was from somebody far away, and
right.
And they decided to open a plant in Thailand, and stuff that didn't make sense. I mean, the people were all working, the plant was profitable, but someone from outside made the decision to do this. How much of an input do you think Harrisburg is having on this type of action? Because I see reports that other schools in the state system, the 14 members of the state system, are facing similar conditions and likely to announce similar plans in the coming month or 2.
Right. Well, I serve on a state APSCUF committee, and we called Meet and Discuss, and we meet at the table with representatives from PASHE, from the Office of the Chancellor, and we've dealt with threatened retrenchment and retrenchment itself over the last several years. And over, it's clear that it's clear to us at the state level, and it's clear to us locally. This is driven by Clarion University. This is not driven by Harrisburg, by the Board of the Governors or the Chancellor's Office or anything else. This is an individual decision that the university makes. So this is what the President and Provost have decided to do to deal with the deficit. And APSCUF, I, as APSCUF leader, speaking for the faculty, and I know this will be, the faculty will agree with me, this is not the right way to address this. This is too quick, too severe, without discussion with faculty over a year or so, real discussion, not just a discussion where we ask for comments. For example, the 18 departments of concern each met this summer with the provost and a group of other administrators. And as far as I know, everyone or almost every department presented the provost with a written plan of how they felt they could address drop in enrollment and increased retention and innovative programs. I know I'm chair of the English department. We presented a 2.5, maybe 3-page plan. We have not heard a word.
Ours is 2.
Yours is 2. I don't know of a single department chair who has been contacted by the provost to say, we like these ideas, we didn't like these ideas, this makes sense, this one doesn't make sense. If you're going to ask people to spend their time and energy in developing a plan, the least you can do is have the courtesy to let them know what you think of it.
In the past years, there's been sort of a good working relationship between APSCUF and administration. Is the mood on campus changing?
I fear that it is. We still meet and discuss with, APSCUF still meets and discusses with the president and the provost and other top administrators, and we try to work through things. But I tell you, Ron, there is such a serious mood of distrust and suspicion that, and it's not just APSCUF, I think it's across the board with the other bargaining units as well, that
it makes it difficult to work and look forward to what could be.
Yeah, and it makes it difficult to work collaboratively with the administration, as APSCUF has in the past, under past presidents, because we don't know how sincere they are. We don't know whether they will seriously consider things we're proposing. It seems to me, at least, this is me personally, not as APSCUF president or department chair, it seems to me that they just want to do this, and this is what they're going to do.
Now, you had mentioned earlier that when the workforce plan was released, there was a meeting, and Dr. Whitney was asked how sure this plan was that, that the things would be carried out. And
I was actually a member of my department who asked that question, and the president said, if you're asking me, this was about the comments, if you're asking me about whether or not comments will change this plan is 95 to 98% a done deal. So why the open forums? Why the plans from departments?
Well, we can hope that the 5% or the 3% does help. I want to thank both of you for joining me on Clarion Connection and fielding some of the hard questions. And any last words?
Yeah, I just want to say, my department, Academic Enrichment, we're really there to serve the student. We're not there to make money. We're never going to generate enough money to pay everyone's salary in my RC ever. But I think the bottom line is we're here for the right reason, and that's for the student.
I agree, absolutely.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you.